Hello there, Lynx here, welcome to the last chapter called Garden of Judgment in the game Vanilla, oh my god, again I said it in Polish. Vanilla Garden of Judgment. Let's see what this chapter 5, which I believe is the last chapter, has for us. The first time I had seen her, she had been extremely thin. She was mostly expressionless and smiled rarely. Perhaps she had been sickly, as she took a lot of time off school. She had been in the same art club as I was, but we weren't particularly close, we barely talked. Her pretty face was directed outside the classroom window. She was expressionless as a doll, and had gorgeous green eyes. I was always following her with my eyes. We hadn't spoken or had any involvement with each other. I only looked at her and admired her. What? Oi. Aren't you? Her paintings were always dark. It was a world devoid of all light. I thought that those paintings wouldn't be accepted by anyone else. There was something in the darkness that drew me powerfully. Not everyone could paint what she did. She was painting the reality that everyone wanted to look away from. She might not have wanted anyone's evaluation in the first place. Perhaps by the way, dark hair suits you better? Perhaps the value she found in art was to paint her emotions on the canvas. Every time I saw that melancholy look on her face, I wanted to know more. What was she thinking? How did she see this world? And then that day finally came. What day? What'd you do? The classroom was colored in the sunset. Ow! When I came back to the classroom to retrieve something I'd forgotten, I found her standing by the windowsill. Someone is cooking something. If I fell, what would happen? She whispered this while looking out the glass. She didn't even look at me. Did she know I was there? Or was she talking to herself? I couldn't know if it was that, or that she was talking to me. But would she even talk to me? Who'd she'd barely exchange words with? It could have been her talking to herself, but I still gave her a reply. It was just herself. Don't think of doing anything stupid. You will just hurt yourself. If I could die like that, things would be easier. She cut me off just like that. She might not have wanted to have a conversation. She turned around and continued talking. I realized she wasn't ignoring me. Have you thought of this, Shiro? Shiro? Huh? About the world when you're... about the world you're no longer in it. She knew my name. I couldn't hide my surprise that she knew my name, even if we're in the same club. What? Of course they would knew. Had she taken an interest in me as well? Or was it some coincidence? That was how I'd met her. After that, we'd begun to talk to each other more. She was expressionless as always. She rarely showed any emotion. Her words too were neutral and didn't show whether she was sad or happy. What would she look like smiling? I want to see her smile each day. The desire grew stronger. Did I like her that way? I surely had a crush on her at that point. When I asked her out on a date, despite looking like she didn't want to go, she agreed. I thought that she forced herself to come, but somehow I saw her expression as somewhat happy. Despite being expressionless, she might have had an interest in romance. Why did you invite someone like me? Shiro, I'm negative, I don't smile, and I'm no fun to be around. I wonder why. It was probably because I found it fun to talk to her. It was only with her I could have so much fun talking about our interests. Fun? You think it's fun to be around me? I got it. I can still be fun to be around then. The girl whispered this and tucked in her chin. I remembered that happy face of hers didn't leave my head for days. I thought it was a surprise for her to make such an expression. I thought something must have been troubling her. That was as far as I thought at that point. I'd taken it lightly. I hadn't realized the full weight of the burden she'd held. I thought the reason that she would show no reaction and rarely smiled was because she was cool-headed. I decided on her personality just like that. But there was something else happening, right? It was spring day. I finally confessed to her that I liked her, that I wanted to go out with her. Using words you could find anywhere, without thinking of her feelings. Sorry. It was then that I realized how lightly I took things. The shocking truth had left her lips. According to her, she had lost her mother and was being raised by her father. She was being forced into the slavery by her father. Her father was unemployed, and the household was being supported entirely by the money she'd earned. And her one hobby, art, was supported only by the allowance she received. Allowance. Yet all the money was hers. The people who bought her favors would be her father's acquaintances or friends. What the fuck? Her patience had gone to waste, as that father had gambled away most of their earnings. He'd thrown away all that effort she'd expended trying to hold herself together. Her family was soon neck-deep in debt. Even if she sacrificed her heart, holding it all in, over and over each and every day, she wouldn't be able to leave the prison she was in. That was the reason she always painted dark things. There was no light. It was a matter of course, she'd lose her emotions. Of course she would stop smiling. I couldn't believe she spent her days having to please. I couldn't believe she spent her days having to abandon enjoyment of her youth. I didn't want to think about that. I didn't want to, but I couldn't. It was a reality that you shouldn't look away from. That day we held hands for the first time. That day she'd look happy. Will he slaughter the father? I so hope he will. Because he had this feeling he had blood on his hands as well, right? I had no idea that she was forced to spend time with strange men. Gross, isn't it? It's normal to think that way. I mean, I think that the most. There is no person out there who could love this filthy body. This world isn't kind enough to allow someone to go uncovered in dirt and trash. That's not essentially true. That's wrong. Don't say that. I didn't want her to say that. I was just sad for her. You don't like it either, do you? It would be one nasty joke to sleep with someone as filthy as me. It hurt to hear that come from her lips. The edge of her words weren't directed at me, and yet, it was me who was suffering, and yet, she was so important to me, I couldn't stand looking at her when like that. Maybe I'm supposed to die. You shouldn't see me anymore. I mean, I caused you so much pain. I think you should give up. Your tears are proof. I suddenly realized I was crying. I wasn't disillusioned by her. That wasn't it. These tears weren't that. I was just in pain to hear her horrible circumstances. God damn it. I held her in my arms gently. Shiro! I'm here. I'll always be here. I would save her. What are you, Emiya? My grandpa died 2 years ago. He was always full of life, and when I came over in the summer we'd play games together. I couldn't believe someone who was the picture of vigor could go and die. There were so many things in life that were hard to believe. Each of these hard truths were proof that we were all mere specks on this planet. This was the last clear sky of the summer. The sun was pounding down on me, the heat overwhelming, the sound of cicadas were burned in my ears. I remembered what my grandpa told me then. How's Akiko doing, Shiro? Grandpa let out a breath after a sip of tea. Akiko was my mother's name, by the way. She was always busy and would hardly come home as of late. I wondered if Grandpa was worried too. She's really stubborn, that girl is. She doesn't change her mind and she's not honest. Might take after me. She doesn't come by when I ask her to either. No, news, good news. I hope so anyhow. I wonder if he was lonely. I was thinking something carefully like that. Maybe this was Grandpa's last summer. Somehow, I think I knew that. Yeah, it's sometimes kind of crazy that you can, feel that. Our family's all middle class. We got a normal upbringing and got all that we needed. Every last one of us have gone by old age. Well, probably nice, since we ain't got any misfortune coming our way. That's why I think, Sonny, someone in pain might be coming our way. When that time comes, Shiro, you ought to protect them. Finally. I finally understood what he meant. This must have been my fate. Stay night. I changed little by little since meeting her. Step by step, but with certainty. I didn't see her smile, but I felt the words she used with me grow gentler. The thorns in her heart, one by one, began to fall. She was opening herself to me. I knew that much. But damn. That father... Damn. What a piece of shit, that father. I rented our house as soon as he graduated high school. As I'd been working part-time, I had the money to pay right away. The truth was I had games and comics I want to buy, but I would do anything for the girl of my dreams. Perhaps I'd wished to save her enough that I'd lost any of my own desires. I want to save her from the darkness as soon as possible. I want to live in this house with you. I'd told her this, and despite looking terribly surprised, she nodded. It was one room with little space. It was the most I could do at the point. Yet even with so little, her presence made it home. Okay, you graduated high school. Your grandparents died. Couldn't you move there? I mean, I guess you probably weren't the one to inherit the house, but still, maybe? I wouldn't be surprised if he would inherit the house after all, to be fair. I mean, if the grandpa left the testimony, right? When I earned enough, we could move to a bigger house. The future contained endless possibility. Our futures were bright. She could do what she wanted. I could finally save her. I could save her from her imbalanced upbringing. Isn't it right, Grandpa? Thus, our life together began. And our time together was peaceful. It was average, but with no accidents or happenings either. That was all we needed. I wouldn't get bored of that. There were always new things to discover. The days passed, things were fresh, as if we were writing on a clean piece of paper each time. I could see the peace grow in her expression. Yet the time to enjoy was short. The abyss she held within would occasionally overflow. A heart that's been hurt as deeply as hers wouldn't be so easy to fix, would it? She would sometimes get attacks in the night. She would spill tears down her cheeks, sobbing. Seeing her in such a pain, I would remember the depth of her pain at being hurt, but not only her father, but many unknown people. The endless despair that had taken root in her. It took a while for those who were hurt to recover. I don't wanna die. I was powerless. I patted her shaking back, holding her small body close to mine. I could only do this. It was painful to watch. I nearly cried too, hearing her broken screams. I held it back and comforted her. I don't want to die. Don't die. I'm right here. It's my fault. It wasn't your fault. You were just born to strange circumstances. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I was fine. I was alright. I was just wishing for your happiness. You'd do fine. There was already light blooming in you. You only needed to realize that. You just needed to allow yourself to be happy. You just needed to make many happy memories from here on out. We had all the time in the world. There was nothing stopping us. I want to see her smile. That was my motivation. The sun had long sunk over the horizon, the two of us, hand in hand. We watched the stars in the sky. Gorgeous, isn't it, Shira? What did I reply in return back then? Yeah, they are. That's pretty much what I said. We've seen this scene, haven't we? I was happy to see her eyes sparkle with joy. While looking at the twinkling lights the sky adorned, she had said to me, as she'd been stuck inside for a while, I brought her to the fireworks festival in the neighborhood. The sky was conveniently cloudless, and fireworks bloomed bright in the sky. I hadn't seen a show in a while, and it was much prettier than it was in my memories. Most of all, I was happy to hold hands with my love while watching the show. The fireworks shone for a moment, then disappeared in the night sky. It was fun today, Shiro. Thanks for taking me here. It will make me feel better, I think. I'd like to come back next year with you. Would we be able to go? We'll be able to go, won't we? Ah, there is that awkward smile again. Sorry, it's my fault. When I'm alright, I'll hopefully be able to let you smile normal again. I wondered, was there something wrong with my smile? I believe that this happiness will go on forever. I thought that I would be okay with any obstacles that came our way if I was with her. What was this unease? I thought that if I looked away she would disappear in a poof of air. I thought she would leave my side. It was a little while after we began to live together. My love, sitting across from me at the table, curled her lips happily. It was the first time I'd seen her smile. I'd need time to pass. I'd need a future either. I just need this moment. I feel happy right now, for sure. Oi, that's that flower. That flower being the screen is a danger. She said that and left a thin flower vase on the table. There was a single white flower in it. It filled the room with a sweet aroma in an instant. It was a small and cute flower. I wondered what kind it was. It's a vanilla flower, isn't it cute? She smiled while pouring her favorite sweet milk tea into a mug. I decided to use it to decorate on a whim, so if I go away, you won't be sad. I didn't know what she had meant at first. I didn't know what had brought her to choose that flower either. A man like me who'd never cared much about flowers wouldn't notice the feelings behind a flower and its meaning. Would you be lonely if I went away, Shiro? Yeah? What was she saying? Don't say something ominous like that. You see, I believe this, that if we were to separate, that these happy days would be here to stay, that the memories of being loved would always stay with us. It was as if you knew you'd go away. Please remember this, Shiro. No matter what happens, I love you. From the bottom of my heart. Even if I go someplace that won't change. After all, my love is like this. Vanilla's white flower. It is everlasting. Oi. This is an important choice. We have to save. Let's get married, girl. I would grab that hand before it left me. The hand that was so delicate, tightly. And I would let go. Wouldn't let go. After all, my love was everlasting. I won't allow it. Of course I wouldn't. Her sudden jeer caused me and my love to shrink back. She raised her voice, slamming the desk. An overwhelming fear began to root itself in the back of my mind. It was as if we had done something bad and were being scolded. As if we were being told that our happy days were a mistake. It's your fault, you filthy woman. You made my son do this. This was my mother's mean-spirited outburst directed at my love. Not me, but her. She hadn't hit her, but her words were enough to cut into her heart. What the fuck? You can't even think of what my son must be going through. I know my son best. I had him in my stomach for months. Wow, that's by the way bullshit fucking argument. I have the right to decide how he spends his future. That's bullshit. Aren't you just trying to get money out of him? You want money, so you persuaded my boy, didn't you? I can't hand my son to someone filthy and damaged like you. Don't take away my boy's future. That is what I want, bitch. I want to object, but I couldn't say a thing. What? It was as my words got stuck in my throat and it hurt. What? Why? If I didn't say something now, everything would fall apart. I learned how painful it was to have my future denied. This was what my love had experienced up until now. She had reached the pinnacle of what it was like to have yourself denied. She listened silently to my mother's words. She didn't cry or look offended. She was expressionless. She had returned looking like an emotionless doll, the same as when I'd met her. Even being yelled at like this, she didn't flutter her lashes once. The painful expression was burned to my memory. How did my mother's words reverberate in her mind? She must have been hurt. There must have been nothing but pain. She must have been in pain. We couldn't reach a conclusion, so my love and I left the house. My mother didn't stop yelling until we left. I held in my tears after time as we walked. My mother didn't accept us. She didn't accept our future, our happiness. Dude, just move on. I pulled my love's hand when she stood, dazed. We couldn't stay here. Let's go home. I said this before, and I still believe that words that just because there is a blood connection doesn't mean it's the connection you can't shatter. You know? You found someone you love, go with her, man. Her hand had no strength in it, and it was like a broken doll's. She lost the light in her eyes. What was she feeling? What world was in her eyes? Was she standing in a chasm of despair? It wasn't just her who was in a pain. I was in pieces. I was frustrated and angry, to the point I might have lost myself. I'd shrunk up the whole time my mother had been yelling. I couldn't say a word. I couldn't interrupt her. If I disobeyed my mother, I didn't know what would happen. Nothing would happen! I would be beat senseless. What the fuck, man? I was taught that from an early age. It had always been that way. If I didn't listen to her, I'd get it. That fear was deep within my body. It remembered it all. I'll talk to her tomorrow, so wait for me. Let's marry for sure. No, we will. Just go and do it, man. Seriously. My love was expressionless as I spoke to her. She did not shed a tear, and as if she had lost all emotion, she was frozen. She was deciding when to disappear while I wasn't looking, when she wouldn't be seen by anyone, before her heart could break further. To protect herself. It was clear that the thought she should die was circling her mind. I was once asked, why do you always paint the dark things? She finally spoke when we were in bed. She spoke without a preamble, averting her eyes from mine, as she were telling a story. I didn't want to accept it, but I knew, somehow, that I couldn't be happy. I was hugging that happiness tightly to myself all this time. That's why nobody will let me be happy, because I'm damaged goods. But it's all my fault. The fact that was that I thought I'd overcome all this hurt and live on too. Meeting you and having you try to heal my wounds, and believing you, the one who'd chosen all that was me. Don't say that, please don't. I just wanted to be happy, so why? I'm an idiot. There is no way I can find happiness. Damaged goods like me should just stay unhappy. Everything we'd built up would collapse, clattering down ruthlessly. Had it been pointless from the start, had our efforts meant nothing. My love and I fell asleep, tears brimming in our eyes. I wanted that nightmare of a night to end already. I held my love's hands, thinking this. I gathered her shaking body in my arms, so she couldn't run away. If I was with her, then that was all I needed. I needed just that. It was all I needed to feel happy. I felt fortunate. The smile on her face that had surfaced, overcoming an ocean of despair. Because we'd overcome so much pain, there was only up. There would be no more sorrow. But that wish of mine didn't come true. That morning, I would experience all the pain my life had to offer. When I awoke, the woman I had fallen asleep with was no longer there. In its place, there was... an opened window. The white curtains shook in the wind. There was no tomorrow for us. Oh, fuck. I can't stand this. Stop it already. It hurt too much to remember it all. I didn't see her smile ever again. Tomorrow was enough. She didn't have tomorrow. It was enough. I had been too late. I hadn't held onto her tight enough. I'd let go of her. I killed her. If I'd protected her properly when I was with my mother, if I showed her that I was her sole ally. I knew it. I knew that regret wouldn't bring anything back, but it wasn't that easy. I couldn't act against my mother. I could only listen to her. I was a pitiful kid who was puppeteered by his mother. I couldn't speak my mind in front of her. I promised to protect my love, but in the end I was garbage that could only watch things unfold. My mom was a problem too. She's after your money. What privilege you have? I was born poor and I didn't have an impressive job. I was scrapping by paycheck to paycheck. I couldn't even save money. What plus would she have by choosing such a poor man? Wouldn't she have chosen love over money? I was put aback by how my mother could assume she was after my wallet, or that she had fooled me. My mother knew best, that we were poor, and that our family had no value. In the end, all she wanted to do was sling insults at my love. She was jealous that her son had been taken away by some unknown girl. That was why. That was it. It was true that my mother had given birth to me. If I did have my mother, I wouldn't be here. I was grateful that she had raised me. But if that was out of the ordinary for her to control my life, I had no choice in this. I would do what I wanted. Do what I wanted. Yet I couldn't say anything at the time. No, it was because I'd been raised not to fight back against my mother. I was able to do what I should have done. True, I couldn't fight back. If I fought back, I would be met with violence. I'd get beaten up. I didn't want to hurt. I didn't want to. It was the same as training an animal. I was one of the animals you'd line up to see at the circus. Oh, I see. I've been controlled by her since I was a kid. I've been in her cage since the beginning. I'd been cursed to be unable to protect what was important to me when I needed to. But in the end, the one who hadn't chosen to break the prison bars and leave me was me. Because I was a weakling. Because I had no backbone. My love had nearly recovered from her wounds. Those wounds now had opened again, blood pouring from them. She was supposed to walk side by side with me to find happiness. And yet, I'd ended it all. Sima, Lilith, and Soyo too. That's right. I looked away from my own sins while judging theirs. I was a conceited moron. I told her that murderers would be forgiven. Then I told her to stop her desires. Then I told another to feel ashamed for her lack of responsibility. Technically, it's not true. In all the cases, I sided with them, actually. Let's not forget that. I rejected each and every one of them for their sins. No, I didn't. Who was at fault here? It was me. I was the only one. That was my sin. What's gonna happen next? In a garden, where white petal danced in the wind, she stood. Her long white hair was blowing in the wind. Hakana. That one word caused her to turn around. Welcome home, Shiro. She smiled as she had been waiting for me. She had on a refreshing expression that looked as if she could forgive everything. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. You remembered your past, I see. But I do not hold you to it. I couldn't protect you. I killed you. You are not responsible. You are guiltless. You did not cause my death. No, I had practically killed Hakana myself. I needed to be punished for my crime. I remembered it all. The sin I had committed. I thought that I should apologize to you. I was being unfair. This was something I couldn't change. It was something frustrating to the point I wanted to look away. I was repenting for that after all this time, looking for her forgiveness. Why? I love you no matter what, Shiro. That won't change even when I'm gone. I believe I told you that night. Didn't you hear me tell you? This is a place where you are cleansed of all the sins. We've already passed away, so we have nothing to our name. There are no criminals or victims. There are no sins or punishments here. And also, you have yet to realize your true sin. Your sin is that you killed yourself by your own hand. You chose to take your own life. You thought that if you died, you would be at ease, that you would see me in the next life, that you would be with me together in heaven. Did you not dream of such a thing? But if you are not with me, What reason is there to live? The world is too cruel for me to live on my own. I wanted you to stay by my side, Hakana. I can't live without you. You are a fool, Shira. You are the biggest fool of them all. You did the same thing as I did. Couldn't we redo things? Here, just the two of us. Things were peaceful here. Nobody could stop us. We could always be together, couldn't we? We cannot do that, Shira. Reality is not so kind. We have not gone to heaven. There is but one place that we have reached. Those who have ended their own lives go to the hell. They must recognize their own mistake, accept their death, and disappear without a trace. And thus fall into the hell, to suffer for many years onward. They must be burned by hell's fire, until their souls are cleansed and purified. This is the world of the afterlife. We currently stand on the boundary between life and death. I was saying that. This is the miracle we have been granted, the final hours granted to us. I don't want that. I finally saw you again, Hakana. We have no choice but to accept it. Hell is where the sinners must go. That's why we must feel grateful that we met again in this place. Even if for just a moment, we're able to talk once more. This was a final miracle, bestowed upon us by the god. I mean, fuck this, man. How can she go to hell for all she's been through? That's ridiculous. I saw a sky glittering the colors of a rainbow. This was in a scenic white garden, surrounded by a cropping of trees. I was there, alone with Hakana. What a pretty color. She whispered that under her breath. She was calm, very much so. A wind blew past and the Hakana's hair swayed with it. The sweet smell of flowers pricked my nose. She continued to look at the sky, paying not a glance to me. I raised my eyes upward once more. There was no sun above us, no moon, no stars. Yet the sky shone, glittering in many hues. It had painted the earth, it was too brilliant for the naked eye. It was the first time I had seen such color in my life. I suppose we won't ever see it again? During that time I had forgotten to breathe, Hakana spoke. Yes, this would be the last. We wouldn't be looking up to the sky again. This was the very last time that this girl and I wouldn't be hand in hand again, ever again. But you're fine with that, I see. Hakana smiled gently. This world will soon come to a close. You and I will be both fate. We'll remember our sins, forgive them, and disappear. The vivid green of those eyes looked at me alone. I looked to her as my response. There was a silver band on the ring finger of her right hand. It was what I had given to Hakana. The symbol of lovers. It shone in 7 colors, reflecting the light from the sky. The same way Hakana had named herself Vanilla, our love. If it was everlasting, it was natural we would meet again after earning a second life in this world. Isn't it right? Again, I'll be with you. No, don't say anymore. You won't be able to keep that promise. Hakana laughed when she saw my troubled face at having been interrupted. Struggling to hold back the tears, I held her gaze. Our sin is that we took our own lives. It is for that reason we may not be reborn so easily. But I believe. So please, grant the wish that you couldn't before, Shira. Hakana reached out her right hand and said that. You understand, don't ya? I have but one wish. There was only one meaning behind those words. I nodded and took her hand. I took the band from her right finger, ring finger, and closed my eyes slightly. This love wasn't some game. I wasn't playing around, and I had no hidden motivation to speak of. I loved Hakana from the bottom of my heart. I truly loved her with all I had, with the purest intentions. Hakana loved me as well. That was why I wanted to be together forever. I wanted her to be by my side. I thought we would live together forever. I thought we'd continue to walk a happy and bright path dyed in light. There would be pain and there would be sadness, but if it was us two, we would be fine. We'd fight through it. We would have children and look after them warmly together. Hakana would forget her past and learn to laugh from the bottom of her heart. It was supposed to be that way, and yet, why had it gone like this? A tear trailed down my cheek. Yet, our relationship wasn't accepted. Our future was cut off with ease. She jumped from the window and I followed her footsteps. We were meant to be happy. All humans deserve to be happy. I took Hakana's left hand and put the silver band on its ring finger. Tears dripped down my face. Still, she smiled, because it was our last moment together. Our very last. I wanted to show her a smile, so I forced one on my face. Shiro, there is that awkward smile again. She laughed, seeing my face drenched in tears. I couldn't hold back my weeping. Tears flowed from me like a river without showing signs of stopping. Shiro. Hakana showed me the brightest smile she had yet and said this. Thank you for loving a damaged good like me. I love you. Goodbye. Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't let the tears out. I actually am holding myself back. True and everlasting. Oh my god. I have no idea what she just said. What she's saying. Something about this scene, definitely. Then again, I'm saying it again. She doesn't deserve to be in hell. It's ridiculous to think that she would go to hell after all of that. After all she's been basically forced to go through. I mean, okay, I don't know even what she's saying, so I'll be continuing my saying as well. Okay, I mean, I said that this game I read it's a little bit similar to something that I've watched in the past, so I'm gonna tell you now, even though you probably realize that it's similar to Angel Beats. Angel Beats was so good as well. I loved it. Anywho, the game was crazy. But it was really good as well. I mean, sure, I mean, in all of the cases, kind of, I've forgiven the girls of sorts. Even though, I mean, it shouldn't work like that, right? But yeah, by forgiving them, we are left in the purgatory, basically, right? By not forgiving them, we continue on. And they pass on as well, right? And so on. Anyway, when it comes to first girl, I guess that we had the chapter with, so Sima, I'm saying she's done nothing wrong still. She tried to protect herself. And that's it, really. I wouldn't say anything else. When it comes to our... Oh, that's animated. Nice. Our second girl, so Lilith. I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, her approach was kind of very bad towards people, to be fair. And I mean, if you live like that, I feel like you might run into very bad people like that. And she's run into a person like that. So I'd say she might have deserved the punishment or something. And again, I mean, she never ran into the correct person, right? I mean, still I would forgive her. when it comes to Soyo. I mean, okay, so she had a husband for 4 years, and that husband would not even sleep with her ever. That's ridiculous, by the way, and he's a piece of shit. And it was also hinted at that he cheated. I mean, he definitely did cheat, so he's a piece of shit, basically. I mean, if he didn't want her, why marry her? God damn it, so annoying. So, I mean, I don't hold it against her as well that she cheated herself, because he did it, right? I mean, he basically treated her like a dust, I would say. Not like a human. Not like a wife at all, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's basically why my choice was like, yeah, I mean, hey, you're looking for happiness, let's give it a try. And so on. And you know what? Over here with our last girl, so Hakana basically / Vanilla, shit went so dark, it's crazy. Like, what the heck, man? I can't believe a parent would do something like that, to be honest. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that there actually in the world might be someone doing the same thing. It's ridiculous, man. People like that should be hunted down. And yeah, and then we had the mother who's like, mother of our MC actually, Shiro / Blanco. Yeah, she ruined it all later on. I mean, if she didn't do what she did, I would say Hakana would also not do what she did, and maybe she would with time overcome all the hardships she's been through, right? Anyway, that would be nice. Anyway, that was a freaking good game. You know, it definitely was at the level of Kaleido Stella, maybe even level higher, I would say. I don't know, but I might be saying that because it really dived into super dark topics here. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the game. We are going to move on from here on out. I've completed all the groupies gaming. Actually, all the groupies games I had, so that's wonderful. We have kind of, let's say, one less platform to go through. And that means, of course, Steam, obviously. Probably something from Epic, because I picked some free games at some point. But there's Indie Gala, Edge, and Manga Gamer still as well, so there is still a lot. But for now, hope you enjoyed, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in some other game. Bye bye.